This week, AFI's Cover 7 is going to be breaking down the Milano Seamen in their first season in the European League of Football. Daniel, we're very lucky to have you on this episode, as you are on every episode. But you have played in Italy. You know the Italian scene well. You are what many people see as the Italian football expert. How do you feel about Milan entering the ELF this season?
Yeah, I'm so excited. As you said, I love the Italian Football League. I think it's great vibes there. I think they really love football. They're very competitive and great sportsmanship. I'm excited to see the team. They've been the top team in the Italian Football League for a while now, despite not winning it for the last few years actually. Top team for a while now. Last 10 years, I'd say. Great depth of talent on the team, great environment to play football in. And yeah, so I'm super excited to see an Italian team rightfully be in the ELF.
Definitely. And we've seen Italian players come in and contribute, all over Europe and in the ELF. What can you tell us about the football culture in Italy? What can we expect from the football scene down there?
Yeah, I think the Seamen are a slight outlier. I think they do only because they have a far deeper roster than any other team in Italy, right? They get the best talent. They bring them in from other cities. It's very common for them to bring players in from different cities. They do have obviously a very strong base of Milano players, but yeah, they bring other players in. They're extremely committed to the sport. They've got a long-time quarterback in Luke Zaraka, who is absolutely outstanding. They take the flag game really seriously as well. So yeah, it's just a great team to come into Elf, and I think they'll be very well placed. I think they'll do exceptionally well in their first year, and yeah, I can't wait to see them.
Absolutely. And you touched on it, Luke Zaraka, the quarterback. Do you see him sort of as the face of the franchise going into the ELF?
Without doubt, I think he is the face of the franchise. He has been. He is the Sean Shelton of Italy, right? He has been there for a long time, and he's been putting up insane numbers, right? Italian football is not a joke either. They play some good football down there. And yeah, he's been doing it with the best of them and just been throwing 6 touchdowns per game. Do you know what I mean? Like averaging like 30 yards a pass. It's unbelievable. And so yeah, great quarterback. Very, very confident that he's the one leading them into the ELF.
Absolutely. And we've seen, like you mentioned, this team is filled with championship experience. These guys have been playing in the CEFL. They've been playing, in various tournaments across Europe. And I was not surprised at all when Milano decided they wanted to make that jump into the ELF. They have a big sponsorship. They play in an incredible stadium. They seem like a team that's as ready as any to make that jump to the highest level of football in Europe.
Yeah, like you said, they are prepared for it. That pro environment is something they already live. This is not something crazy. They're used to traveling. That's another thing. Like you said in the CEFL, sorry. They're used to traveling. They go up to Austria. They go to France. Do you know what I mean? They go to Germany to play these games, and with a lot of the same players they have now. So yeah, this is nothing new to them in the slightest. A lot of these guys in the ELF will have prior experience with. Some of them have even played for the Milano Seamen.
Definitely. So it sounds like it almost mirrors a little bit like the Vienna Vikings, right? So they're coming from their, predominant dominance in their domestic league. Do you think Milano will be able to pull talent from south of France, from Italy, and sort of, be able to mesh a geographic area and turn it into a good ELF football team?
Yeah, I think as far as recruiting goes, they haven't done as well as I thought they would have done, if I'm honest. I think they've brought in some good players, Italian players like Modest Puda, played for the Palm Panthers before, helped them win the title 2 years ago. But outside of that, they haven't really signed too many key Italian guys, and same with the Europeans as well. So, but that may be more to do with them already having such a strong roster in itself. The import rules are different in Italy. You're allowed far fewer, and so you've had to lean on your domestic talent. Whereas in places like, Austria is kind of strict as well, but maybe like Germany and France, where you can have a lot more imports and the dual thing doesn't matter. Whereas in Italy, you're allowed 1 dual and 2 Americans on the roster, 3 max. That's it, who are not Italian born, Italian living, Italian working. So yeah, I think that has led them to lean more on domestic talent, and so they rely less on imports, and so they're going to bring that attitude into the algorithm.
Definitely. So who are some of these Italian guys that you're excited to watch take that step from playing in the Italian Football League to now playing against the best of the best in the ELF?
Yeah, I think Modest Buda. I think he's for me one of my favorite. I think he did an amazing job in Parma. He was so electric, returned a bunch of touchdowns from kickoffs, same with punts, and he broke long runs on a regular basis, zigzagging between defenders, very fast, very quick in and out of his breaks. Him aligned with Ali Khalif, the guy from Germany. I think the two that'd be a great like 1-2 punch for the pair. We have Kevin Hay, the linebacker, who's also great. He's been in Milano for a long time now, and so yeah, I think guys like those are going to do really well. So yeah, in the receiving core, like Tamzir Sek plays for the Italian national team, plays for the flag team, the national flag team with Luke Zaraka, Andrea Firmiani, another great receiver. They lost a few guys to other Italian teams last year, which is a bit unfortunate. But they've brought in Gene Constant, as we've all seen, and so yeah, I think they'll do well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited to watch the Italian talent have a take on the limelight this year and play in front of a more international stage because you and I have been appreciating the scene down there for a while, and now more people can appreciate it. But you touched on Jean Constant coming into Milano, really interesting signing there, and I'm really, really, really excited to see what Constant can do this year. I bet it's a big year for him, really. Last year, I bet he was disappointed with how things went in Hamburg. He didn't get the ball as much as he would have liked. Now he goes back to a situation where he has to be the man. Just like in Barcelona, he has to make plays. He can't rely on Glenn Tonga. He can't rely on the defense like things were last year in Hamburg. I'm really excited to see how head coach Stephen Pokorny uses him and how Zaraka could build a chemistry with someone that you know can make plays, run great routes, and also be a X factor in the return game.
I was honestly surprised to see the move on from Marco Castle. Marco Castle last year was just an absolute menace. I was talking about those 6 touchdown games. Marco Castle was part of that, right? His averages were unbelievable. I think every 3 catches of his was a touchdown. It was just insane what he was doing there last year. And so I think it was really unfortunate that they were not able to secure him in Milan. I'm sure they tried, but for whatever reason, he wanted to move on. And so they brought in Gene Constant, as you said, a completely different receiver, right? Very fast, very quick, very speedy receiver, good hands, great in like the screen game and things like that. But it's very different, right? It's not the deep threat receiver you once had. I'm sure he can catch the ball deep, but it's not Marco Castle. So yeah, I was kind of surprised to see them go in that direction because they didn't necessarily have a deep threat outside of Marco Castle last year. And so, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Luke does there and how he builds that connection and how they use him in the offense. Because, yeah, it's had to mimic more of a Vienna offense, which is more of a kind of just a lot of a short game last year. Whereas, Milan can't do the long game anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, definitely interesting. With Castle, we were wondering where he's going to end up. A lot of us thought he's kind of a shoot back in to go back to Milan. Now he ended up signing fairly recently with the Munich Ravens. So we'll see how he does in Munich. That's a whole other episode coming up. We also saw the Milano Seamen bring in 2 offensive linemen, European imports, or 3, I should say. 2 guys that ELF fans know well, Thomas Felicia, the French tackle, and Lewis Thomas was a great guard last year for Hamburg, helped pave the way for Glenn Tonga's great season. So I think Zaraka will be protected well because he'll have some imports, but also I imagine they'll have some of the best Italian linemen on Seaman's side this year.
Yeah, for sure. In the secondary as well, they brought in their 2 American imports on defense. Were both DBs, which is not what most teams do, right? It's usually a linebacker and a DB or a DB line. But Milano felt that they needed 2 American DBs, which maybe tells you something about how they felt with regards to their secondary. They brought in Marquise Manning and Dejvion Stewart. Stewart, a lot of you probably know, played in the GFL for a long time. He's towards the back end of his career now, and so I'm sure they brought him in as a kind of mentor and and a secondary coach as well as being a player.
With that being said, let's not wait. Let's dive right into the Milano Seamen's prediction for their first season in the ELF.
Cool. Yeah. So kicking off the season, they're hosting the Barcelona Dragons in Milan. First game.
Okay. I imagine under the lights, we know Milano likes to play night games. The place is going to be packed in that huge Olympic stadium. Milano kicks off the season 1-0.
Against Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona have lost top players, so it makes sense. Next game, Tuffy at Stuttgart Surge. I don't know. I think Stuttgart, what they've done, this is scary. I think they've had a very scary off-season, and I think everyone in the league should be scared of them, and I think they are. And as good as Milano are and as solid as they are, I don't think they have the depth to match Stuttgart, and I think they take an L. Next, week 3, Helvetic Guards.
Okay, I'm going to give it to Milan. They are, like we said, a team with experience. Helvetic Guards are not. It is early in the season. The Guards are probably still finding their footing despite a good foundation. Milan takes this win.
Week 4 at Raiders Tyrol. Raiders had a pretty disappointing season last year. They've also lost Sean Shelton and signed Christian Strong, the Canadian QB. Canadian-British QB, sorry. And I think Milano take this. I think they're a very strong team. I think over the years I've had experience with Raiders in CFL, and I think now the fruit is ripe, and I think it's time for them to get their vengeance and beat Raiders at their home ground.
The last time we saw these two teams play, the Raiders totally blew them out in the CFL. But
that was not long ago.
Times have changed. I like it.
Next, we have traveling to Frankfurt for the Galaxy.
I think the Galaxy take this win. Galaxy are good. I think you are really underrating the Galaxy. They still have a core of ballers. They still have a lot of money to throw around and get imports. They win.
Okay, next. They are going to Munich to play the Ravens. Interestingly, we're playing Markel Castle, the guy they played the year before. I think Munich is going to struggle this year. I think recruiting has not been where they would want it to be. I think building a team up from the ground is difficult. So I think that when I say recruiting, I mean like domestically as well as...
I know.
It's cool to get Markel Castle. Yeah, he's great. But who's throwing him the ball, right? Who's doing the rest of the work? I think they go to Munich and they get the win. Next, we have them going across to Switzerland to play the Guards.
Seamen move on. Big win on the road. This will be an interesting matchup throughout the season with the Guards and Milano. But I think, like we said, they've won the Italian titles. They have a core of guys that have been together forever. To me, it's sort of like a Diet Vienna situation. So I see them doing well and getting this win.
Awesome. Next, they're going to Stuttgart. Sorry, they're hosting Stuttgart, Penn Surge. Again, I can't see them winning this game.
Tough one.
It's just too tough. Next, they are going over to Barcelona to play the Dragons.
Pasta on the way home.
Yep. Okay, I'm so glad I have this one. Next, they're going up to Frankfurt to play the Galaxy. They get the W. I think they beat Frankfurt. Me and Alex obviously view Frankfurt in completely different ways. I think I'm judging Frankfurt off what they did last year, and they almost lost to Stuttgart last year. I think they went to overtime, right? And so when Stuttgart were absolutely awful. So I think that they take the win here. Next, they are hosting the Munich Ravens.
I think they sweep the Ravens this year. Ravens, I disagree, have been recruiting really well with German talent, but it's always hard with an expansion franchise. So, I think Milan gets this win late in the season.
I think with Munich, it's easy to get, not easy, sorry, but I mean, cool, you've got 15 to 20 great German players, right? But you've got to have 50 people on the squad, right? They're so hard to do that. And I think Leipzig have shown that how difficult that can be, even in Germany where they thought they'd have success. But, okay, and then final game of the season, they'll be hosting the Raiders Tyrol. Again, I don't know if the Raiders will be the team that we're used to seeing. I think last year was the kind of start of their downfall. I think they're still be competitive, but I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they once were in the Austrian League anyway, and on the international scene. So yeah, I think they take the L in the final game of the season.
I think this game that we're looking at there, the winner of that game makes the play. This last week of the season could mean a playoff spot for either of these teams. We know how good the Surge are. We know the Raiders are a very proud team. And we know Milan is a very experienced team that wants to make noise in their first year in the ELF. So we have 3 teams, in my mind, all vying to win that division. Maybe 2 of them make it. One as a wild card, one as the division winner. So this game is absolutely huge.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it helps Milan that it's in Milan. And I'm not sure if they'll allow this in the ELF. But I mean, from my time in Italy, like, you'd finish games and it'd be only 1 a.m. Like, these guys love a late game. And so I don't know if they'll carry on that tradition once they're in the ELF, because a lot of these guys won't be awake for the 1 p.m. kickoffs.
Right. Home field advantage there, maybe, for Milan. No, but this reminds me of like we used to see, the Eagles or the Cowboys facing off to win the NFC East, right? Week 16, week 17. This has that same feeling for me. I just can't wait to watch the Central Division. A lot of new faces in it, and Milano looks to be one of the better teams in it.
For sure.
So that puts them at 7-5, I believe, depending, maybe 8-4 if they win this last game. So they'll be right on the cusp of the playoffs, is how we're predicting it. So good luck to the Seamen, and can't wait to watch them make that jump to the ELF. If you guys made it this far in the episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and rate the podcast, and stay tuned for our next State of the Franchise episode. Thank you.